Why is he commemorating anything for being mayor of San Francisco? The city's never been the same. Like when he was mayor, he wasn't mayor. He was busy trying to be governor. Then the city went to hell. Then he becomes the governor of California trying to be president, and the state goes to hell. Yeah, he's never doing his job.
I agree with that message. I just hate that it's coming from Greg Gutfeld, but it is true. California Governor Gavin Newsom somehow finds ways to reveal his narcissism is even worse than we previously expected.
Ana Kasparian is absolutely fed up with what Gavin Newsom and the woke left are doing. Now, Ana Kasparian is going live on the Young Turks to absolutely tear not only Gavin Newsom, but the rest of the woke left to shreds. In particular, Ana Kasparian is going after Gavin Newsom in this video for his hypocrisy, for his lies, and for taking money from the voters in America. Let's get into this clip here where Ana Kasparian absolutely takes down Gavin Newsom for these hypocrisy and these lies.
According to a new book, California Governor Gavin Newsom helped fund a bronze statue of himself that's sitting inside San Francisco City Hall.
Why is he commemorating anything for being mayor of San Francisco? The city's never been the same. Like when he was mayor, he wasn't mayor. He was busy trying to be governor. Then the city went to hell. Then he becomes the governor of California trying to be president, and the state goes to hell. Yeah, he's never doing his job.
I agree with that message. I just hate that it's coming from Greg Gutfeld, but it is true. California Governor Gavin Newsom somehow finds ways to reveal his narcissism is even worse than we previously expected. And he is funding projects for his own vanity, even as he gets blowback over his glazing of right-wing figures on his new podcast. So, in fact, there was this bust of Newsom in San Francisco City Hall, and a new book exposes the origins of this monument and how it was funded. Now, before becoming governor of California back in 2019, that terrible, fateful day, he served as the mayor of San Francisco between 2004 and 2011. And then later, he was the lieutenant governor between 2011 and 2019. However, in 2015, SF Gate, the publication, noted that Gavin Newsom and his great hair may get permanent city hall spot, referring to the bust, also gross. In the article, they write that the bust is the brainchild of Newsom supporters, and it will be paid for with private funds they will raise, said Newsom. It has been in the works for a few years, but no one's worked on it. It's been an idea that's been floating around, he says. He doesn't even know who those supporters and fundraisers are. Now, remember that statement. Remember that quote. Keep it in your mind as I give you more details of this story, because that information is going to come in handy in a little bit. So at the same time, Newsom also said, I don't want to call it embarrassing, but it's a strange thing. I'm just awkward about it. But now the word is out. Like pretending as though he didn't ask for this. I mean, it's embarrassing. He's so humble. This is so embarrassing for him. Like he's such a snake. Okay, so here's the bust. It's as ugly as his political record.
That's really, really stupid. I find it weird that as Ana Kasparian is saying that, Gavin Newsom is saying that his supporters came up with this is the brainchild of his supporters. Who is a Gavin Newsom supporter? Like I've never ran into one in real life or online. I've never ran into someone who like really supports and defends the things that Gavin Newsom has done. You know, Ana Kasparian and the Young Turks, they're a leftist organization. They hate Gavin Newsom. They're always hating on Gavin Newsom. This is one of the more like overt, clips that I've seen of Ana Kasparian going after Gavin Newsom, but they've never really said much positive about him, And I've never really seen, honestly, obviously I don't watch them very much, but I've never honestly seen Sam Cedar or Emma Vigeland or any other leftist, David Pakman, Destiny. I've never seen any of them say, I love Gavin Newsom so much. In fact, I've never seen them really say that about any leftist leader outside of presidents. And they only say that about leftist presidents in the lead up to an election. After they actually run the country for a while, nobody really likes these leftist leaders anymore. And it's just so wild to me that, even though Ana Kasparian and Cenk Uygur and these sorts of people and Destiny, like all these people that I just listed off, they never really like and defend these leftist leaders after a while, right? After they get elected. And they continue to vote for them. And it's crazy because there's not really a leftist out there that is defended by leftists that is already elected. And it's because of what I always talk about, and that the left has no morals and no principles. They only care about winning. The only thing that they care about is winning. So once they win the election, it normally is detrimental to whatever area they won the election in. And what's funny is the left recognizes that after the fact. And they always complain about the leftist leadership, and yet they still vote leftist. It just blows my mind. Like, it really is just crazy that these people will vote leftist, right, in California or New York or whatever. They hate the way that the leftists run the state or the city. They flee the state or city, and whatever new state or city they go to, they also vote the same way. They also vote leftist. And then they complain about that city or state going downhill. It's like, what are you doing, man? I don't understand it. And obviously, the right-wing run cities are not perfect either. There can be improvements there as well, but there's no doubt that the right-wing run cities are a whole lot better off than the left-wing run ones, right? And it's pretty obvious, and that goes for states as well when it comes to California and things like that. There's no doubt that the right-wing states are run better and they're more enjoyable to live in. You just can't deny that.
Record is. No offense to the artist who created the bus. And it turns out that, Newsom lied. What a shocker. In fact, he helped raise money for the bust. He solicited donations himself. So according to this new book called Fool's Gold, The Radicals, Con Artists, and Traitors Who Killed the California Dream and Now Threaten Us All, Newsom used something known as behested payments to help raise money to fund this monument. I've talked about behested payments. I can't believe another story is in the news about it today. I feel like I've opened the floodgates, so you're welcome, everybody. But behested payments are contributions made by donors and their political made by donors that their political clients ask them to make on their behalf. The book says that Newsom's payments show 3 private organizations, 2 of which are companies owned by Newsom, donating to a nonprofit earmarked for mayoral bust at San Francisco City Hall. Balboa Cafe Partners and Plump Jack Management Group are the Newsom-owned organizations, donating a combined $10,000 to $97,000 for the bust. I'm sorry, $10,000 to the $97,000 bust. So the bust almost cost $100,000, and his organizations donated a sizable chunk of the funding for it.
If you enjoy content like this, then make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It really does help me out a ton. Let's get back to the video.
Newsom has also asked behested payments to go toward projects run by his current wife, Jennifer Cybele Newsom. And as I've shared with you guys before, like, this whole behested payment system is basically corruption on steroids. And it's even worse than what's happening with these super PACs, because it's less regulated when a politician solicits donations for a nonprofit that they control. Those nonprofits do not have to abide by the same rules and regulations as a super PAC would have, right? So I wrote about this in a piece titled "When Brazen Corruption is Rebranded as Charitable Giving." In it, I talk a lot about Newsom specifically. I'll give you a little excerpt here. Governor Gavin Newsom, who directed more than $226.5 million in behested payments in 2020 when COVID emerged, reportedly raised $13.85 million from the practice in 2024, including $450,000 from Goldman Sachs Philanthropy Fund, $250,000 from Fidelity Investments Charitable Gift Fund. You guys get the picture, right? Same type of corporate donors that we're usually talking about when we discuss corruption in our political system. But in this case, they are donating to nonprofits controlled by Newsom or his wife. And really, there's little oversight of that money. The reporting requirements have to hit
Yeah, I'm glad that leftists are starting to wake up to this, because it is ridiculous. I'm one of those people that I'm like, I hate saying this because I feel like I could get in trouble for it, but whenever big businessmen, right, not the ones that actually control the world, but I'm talking like, small billionaires, right? Not like people who are barely a billionaire or who have like 500 mil to a bill, something like that. If they're evading, taxes, I kind of find it based. I'm just like, hell yeah, pay less money to the government that's stealing it and sending it over to Ukraine and funding bloodshed in the Middle East. Yeah, I think that's pretty base, right? But when it comes to people like Gavin Newsom, like Ana Kasparian is talking about, and whenever these billionaires that I'm talking about, whenever they're using nonprofits or whatever to pay less taxes, it's fine. But whenever you're someone who is benefiting, and getting paid off by these weapon manufacturers and benefiting from war already and benefiting from the corruption already inside of the US government, and you're benefiting from these donors, and you're benefiting from the tax breaks from the nonprofits. Dude, come on now. Like that's a bit ridiculous. If you are a part of the people who are stealing money from Americans in the form of taxes and spending it on BS, pocketing a lot of the money, and running the pocketed money through nonprofits so you have to pay no taxes on it. Like, come on. At some point, the leftists are going to have to wake up and say, all right, these people are getting a bit out of hand, because the right wingers have been saying that for a while now. That's why we have Doge. As cringe as I think the name is, I like what Doge stands for, and I like the fact that they're auditing things and trying to figure out where the corruption is and where the waste is. Now we need leftists to also do the same thing and not push back on it just because it's a right-wing organization, just because it's a Republican president when Doge was, formed, doesn't mean that it's a bad thing to audit where the money is going, where the waste is, and things like that. I like that Ana Kasparian is calling people like Gavin Newsom out. I wish she would call out the rest of the government too. Maybe she does. I don't know. This is just the one clip that I saw of this. Let's see what else Ana Kasparian has to say.
A much higher threshold of $5,000 in order to even disclose the behested payments. And on top of that, the corporate donors and moneyed interests who contribute to these nonprofits in order to have some sway over elected lawmakers or politicians, they get to deduct their donation from their taxes, because it appears as though they're giving to some sort of foundation or charitable cause because it's a nonprofit, when in reality, it's part of a political operation. In this case, we're talking about Gavin Newsom using nonprofits to raise money for his own projects, including a bust of himself in San Francisco City Hall. So following the report, Newsom's office has gone on a warpath, but they're really not helping themselves out, which does not surprise me. So you have the spokesperson for Gavin Newsom saying, to imply the governor personally funded or proposed this effort is categorically false. As is customary in the city, the effort was independently proposed by a nonprofit and funded by private donors, not taxpayers. Yeah, we know it's not funded by taxpayers. We know it's funded by private donors who donated to nonprofits that Gavin Newsom has control over. But further, the spokesperson says this was reported at the time and isn't news now. I think it's newsworthy. That's why we're talking about it.
Yeah, and look, it's not really about the $100,000 bust, right? Like, that's not really a lot of money in the grand scheme of things. It's just that this is a microcosm of all the other corruption, all the other waste, all the other stealing from American taxpayers and the donors and all this corruption that's happening, not just on the left and with Gavin Newsom, like Ana Kasparian's talking about here, but throughout the entire United States government. And that's why it's so important to have organizations like Doge. And that's why I find it insane that I don't think Ana Kasparian does this, but a lot of people on her side, a lot of people who agree with many things that Ana says, they will go after Doge, people like Hassan Piker, and I'm sure Cenk Uygur, and a lot of these people on the left, they go after Doge and they say it's, I don't even know what their complaints are about it, but they'll basically just say that they're not finding anything that we didn't already have access to. And I find that to be completely false, because even though we had access as regular American people to go uncover the things that Doge is uncovering, I had no idea how to go uncover that stuff. I'm not advanced enough to do that, and I don't honestly care that much to do that. To take hours and hours out of my day. I got things to do. But if we have a whole government organization dedicated to finding this stuff, they're going to be able to find it a whole lot more efficiently, no pun intended, than I could. So let me know in the comments what you guys think about these leftists like Ana Kasparian waking up to this corruption from people like Gavin Newsom and other leftists out there for stealing money from voters and taxpayers and taking money from these donors and running it through nonprofits. It's getting ridiculous out there, man. They're getting so blatant with it too. Like they just don't even care that we can see. Let me know in the comments though, what you guys think about this whole Ana Kasparian versus Gavin Newsom situation.